When you picture a billionaire, you probably imagine private rocket launches, massive yachts in Monaco, or at least a highly curated social media presence. But look closely at the wealth distribution in Europe. Germany holds a massive, disproportionate cluster of extreme wealth. There are more than 170 billionaires living here, the highest concentration on the continent. Yet, you likely couldn't name a single one of them. Tracking them down is remarkably difficult. For several of the individuals at the absolute top of the rich list, there are no public photographs. If you search their names online, you will find a blank space. They maintain zero social media footprint. Instead of flaunting their status, they actively camouflage it. A family worth 10 billion euros might own a network of villas, but the vehicle parked out front is often a standard Volkswagen. In this circle, being recognized on the street isn't a sign of success. It's viewed as a distinct liability, a risk to their quiet, normal lives. While billionaires elsewhere actively compete for headlines, the German elite operate by a completely inverted set of rules. Here, the ultimate display of high status is the ability to remain completely anonymous. We can see how this secrecy operates by looking at the journalists whose sole job is tracking these fortunes. Here in Hamburg, teams at publications like Manager magazine spend months piecing together financial data just to estimate who actually holds the money. Their subjects refuse interviews for highly practical reasons. Wealth in Germany carries a heavy stigma. Showing off draws intense public envy, and more urgently, it creates a very real risk of home invasions or the kidnapping of a child. There is also a deeper historical silence at play. Many of these massive inheritances are tied to companies that operated during the 1930s and 40s. A public spotlight often means unwanted scrutiny into a family's ties to the Third Reich. These factors combine to create a landscape of retail and industrial dynasties that have operated quietly for decades. The heirs to these fortunes treat the media like a plague, acting more like fugitives than public figures. For these families, keeping their names out of the paper is a calculated survival strategy. To maintain this level of isolation, the super-rich rely on exclusive private institutions known as multifamily offices. These firms only take your calls if your personal wealth exceeds 30 million euros. Inside the modern towers of Frankfurt, asset managers quietly handle the day-to-day operations of increasing these massive private fortunes. These managers act as highly paid gatekeepers. Their stated mission is to protect a dynasty's money from being wiped out by market fluctuations, inheritance disputes, or, as they bluntly put it, the sheer stupidity of future generations. Since these clients don't attend flashy celebrity galas, their networking happens in tightly controlled environments. The VIP boxes at major football stadiums serve as their central marketplace, a place to mingle with other business owners behind closed doors. For old money families, the socializing moves entirely off the grid. Private hunting lodges situated on hundreds of hectares of private forest offer a space to host business acquaintances far away from any urban scrutiny. They have constructed an entirely separate social and financial infrastructure. The public world is simply unnecessary to them. You won't find the rapid, volatile rise of a Silicon Valley tech founder here. The German billionaire class is built heavily on the Mittelstand, medium to large-sized manufacturing and retail companies that have steadily grown over generations. Consider Michael Otto. He inherited a post-war mail-order business from his father and transitioned it into a digital enterprise encompassing over 100 companies globally. He is the archetype of the successful German heir. Keeping these empires afloat requires intense family planning. Current owners spend years grooming their children to take over, carefully steering their career paths, sometimes manipulating their interests to ensure the business remains under family control. The primary goal for these individuals isn't necessarily disrupting an industry. It is the careful, methodical preservation of the family name and its assets for the next century. This chart reveals how effective that preservation has been. Today, the wealthiest 1% of Germans owns 25% of the country's assets. Compare that to the bottom quarter, a group that holds zero net wealth, or is actively in debt. Since the financial crisis, the fortunes of the rich have exploded. Surging urban real estate prices and stock market gains mean that many of these hidden billionaires have easily doubled their wealth in a decade. all while the middle-class wages have remained completely stagnated. The individuals holding this money may stay out of the public eye, but the economic chasm cave behind is becoming impossible to ignore. When criticized about this inequality, the super-rich offer a consistent defense. They point out that their companies form the backbone of the German economy, providing jobs for millions of citizens. They also prefer to distribute their wealth on their own terms. Many donate millions to fund cultural landmarks, like the Elbphilharmonie Concert Hall in Hamburg, firmly rejecting proposals for higher wealth taxes. They don't typically pick up the phone to dictate policy to the chancellor. Instead, they exert influence through business associations, using the sheer weight of their employee counts to shape labor and tax laws. The ultimate bargaining chip is the threat of mass unemployment. Wealth managers argue that implementing a rich tax would directly cut into their company's capital, forcing them to eliminate jobs and destroying the nation's economic engine. By avoiding flashy displays of wealth, Germany's billionaires sidestep the intense public scrutiny that follows the ultra-rich in other countries. In a system where extreme wealth directly dictates political leverage, absolute invisibility remains their most effective tool for keeping it.